This video is designed to talk you through the causes and consequences of climate change in the UK. The first thing we need to talk about is this idea of the greenhouse effect. The greenhouse effect occurs when the sun's rays warm the Earth's surface, which radiates heat energy. This heat energy gets trapped by pollution, therefore warming the environment. This diagram represents it nicely. This part of the diagram shows us what happens under natural conditions. So some solar radiation is reflected by the Earth in the atmosphere and doesn't enter the Earth's atmosphere. Some radiation is absorbed by the Earth's surface and warms it, and some is re-radiated and moves back out into space. Over in this part of the diagram, we see what happens when we have an increase in the amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. These greenhouse gases are typically caused by human activity. Some of the solar radiation is reflected by the Earth and the atmosphere and moves out into space, whereas the majority of this re-radiated heat energy gets reflected back into the Earth's surface. So the pollution in this area of the atmosphere reflects the Earth's re-radiated energy back to the Earth's surface, causing the temperatures to increase, and some of it is also held in the atmosphere by these pollution or greenhouse gases. So therefore it acts a bit like a greenhouse. This would represent the glass of the greenhouse, and this causes warming of the Earth and the Earth's atmosphere. Global warming is a process that occurs as the Earth heats up, and that is caused by the greenhouse effect. So quite often you'll get a question which asks you to describe the differences or explain the differences between the greenhouse effect and global warming. So why do we have, or why do we experience global warming? Well, some aspects of global warming are caused by natural climatic cycles. So as we move through time, or we look back in time over history, we can see that the Earth is warmer during certain periods and that the Earth is colder during certain periods. So some people argue that the warming of the Earth's atmosphere and environment is part of natural climatic cycles. Another explanation for global warming would be volcanic activity. So for example, if a volcanic eruption deposits large amounts of gas and ash into the atmosphere, that this can actually change the Earth's weather and cause global warming. The third aspect, or the third cause, is this idea of human activity, and this is what we're really concerned with from now on. So the burning of fossil fuels releases pollution into the Earth's atmosphere, and this causes the greenhouse effect and therefore global warming. The burning of fossil fuels could be for transport, i.e. in the use of vehicles. It could be to produce electricity, so in power stations, and it could be for heating in terms of heating our homes. Some of the effects of global warming are detailed here. So for example, sea levels will rise. This will happen as a result of the melting of the polar ice caps. So the increase in temperatures in the Earth's atmosphere causes the ice caps to melt and releases more water into the seas. The sea level will rise. Secondly, as the Earth's environment warms up, the sea temperatures themselves will rise. This will allow the current amounts of seawater to reach a higher volume, and again causing the sea level to rise. These two are inherently linked. Next effect will be that some parts of the Earth may become warmer and drier, and this has huge impacts for the natural ecosystem and plants and farming, etc., that grow in certain areas. Another effect that some parts of the Earth will become wetter, and again that causes problems for the environment and plants and farmers, etc. So what about solutions? What can we do to try and address this? One of the key things is to attempt to reduce deforestation. Deforestation is the cutting down of trees, and trees have a hugely important role to play in reducing the greenhouse effect because they take some of these greenhouse gases out of the atmosphere and reduce the amount of pollution that's available in the atmosphere. We could also reduce fossil fuel use, and there's a range of strategies to do this. We can look at reducing car use, so we don't burn as much in terms of fossil fuels. We can encourage the use of public transport. We can look at better insulation of houses, therefore we don't have to spend as much money burning as high an amount of fossil fuel to heat our houses. And we can also look at reducing the amount of energy, the amount of energy that we require. And we can do that by looking at alternative energy sources. And again, reducing fossil fuel use and alternative energy sources are inherently linked. Alternative sources of energy would be solar power, tidal power, wind turbines, all used to produce electricity or energy in a more sustainable fashion. Final section I'd like to discuss would be international agreements. These international agreements, such as the Kyoto Protocol, basically are agreements between countries that they will aim to try and reduce the production of greenhouse gases in a bid to slow down climate change and global warming.